Hey guys, welcome back. We are super excited. Today we are talking Overlanding 101. We're doing navigation. We're really excited to have a guest on the show today, Ariana DeFore from Trails Off-Road. And we are going to have a really great time talking about how to plan your trips and how to know before you go, getting right out on the road and knowing what you're going to see when you get there. So super excited for this. Thanks so much for coming today, Ariana.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. So we're super stoked. We've had a lot of questions and conversation in our Discord where people are asking like, hey, what do we do? I want to know, I'm going off-roading this weekend and I want to go to this area. We had a guy today, Jason was asking, hey, I'm going to go hunting this weekend and I want to go check out these areas. And how do I know if I'm allowed to be there? How do I know what it's going to be there? And we just thought of Trails Off-Road as the perfect answer to that question, because you guys do that, right? That's what you do, is you go out and you find out what's out there and then you share it with the community, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely our focus is we've created a website and now mobile apps where we can store our own trail guides, essentially being the epitome of know before you go. We have a team of, off-road enthusiasts and overland enthusiasts who take their own vehicles out on the trails and create these highly detailed off-road trail guides where we are creating our own GPX track. We're doing full photo, full video, really detailing everything that you should encounter on the trail, from dispersed campsites to obstacles like water crossings or rock obstacles and things like that, and housing it all in one place so that you can spend your time before you even get out there really looking and planning and figuring out where you want to go and what you should run into when you're out there.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's so helpful to just know that information. And it's really cool. I've been looking over your website because I'm a little bit newer to Trails Off-Road. I haven't used it to plan a lot of my trips, and I'm just seeing so much cool content that you guys have, and it's so exciting. Can you show us through kind of how things work?
Yeah, absolutely. Great. So what we're seeing right now is our iOS app. And actually, we'll come in and we'll start from the home screen.
Cool.
Here, and this is what you would see if you were logged into the iOS app as one of our members. And this is just going to be pulling from, essentially what is around you. Currently, I am in Salt Lake City, Utah. So it's pulling in kind of what's going on around me. Best rated trails nearby, our most recent trail reviews nearby, where you can see some of our members recording their experience on some of our trail guides, and trails with camping nearby. So this is just going to kind of be like your dashboard, essentially, when you first come into the app. But our biggest exciting thing is our actual map. And right now we're just focusing around the Moab area, just because, it's well known and it's one of the easier spots to kind of see a variation of content. So, but as you can tell right away, our map is color coded. So this is color coded by difficulty, with greens being our 1s and 2s. Our difficulty scale is on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the easiest, 10 being the most severe. A 1 is generally going to be something almost like a very well-maintained forest service road, versus a 10 is going to be something where you're going to need, a custom built buggy essentially to really be tackling that.
Yeah.
So ideally, regardless of what you're looking for and what your vehicle's capability is, you should be able to find something for yourself. So you'll also notice that on our map, some of the lines are solid and some of the lines are dotted. Our solid lines are going to be, or our solid tracks, I guess I should say, are going to be our full-fledged trail guides, while the dotted lines are going to be what we call scout routes. Our trail guides are where you're going to find the most amount of information. Our scout routes is something somewhat new, where we have essentially gone and driven that trail and gotten basic information and a few photos, and we're letting you know, hey, we've scouted this is what it's looking like. And we've put in essentially kind of like an upvote system where we're looking for our members to let us know, would you like to see this route as a full-fledged trail guide? And really kind of bringing in that sense of community and hoping that our members will really start to guide us in where they want to see more trail guides being produced.
That's really cool to have that community element. That's one of the things that we love is we have our Discord channel. We have the Overland Discord channel, and we embrace our culture and we embrace our community and just kind of bring it all in there. And that's cool that you guys have the upvoting, and then you can get crowdsourced, hey, yeah, we want this, or, that one's not so interesting.
Yeah. I will say, and so if if I zoom out on the map, you can see we've got more and more. We're coming down into St. George, Vegas, Phoenix, they get a little messy. So there's plenty in here for you to spend your time. I really enjoy doing the hardcore combing through the trail guides on our website, which is just trailsoffroad.com. And for me, that's just a little more comfortable versus our app. Can be used, on your phone or on an iPad, but it's almost meant a little more for usage while you're on the trail, which I'll go over that in a second. I'm going to go ahead and come into White Rim. So I clicked on that, and this is going to be, an example of one of our trail guides. As a member, you have the ability to add trail guides to your favorites for quick access. But here, you'll see the name of the trail, where it's located. You can see that White Rim, it's got a 5-star rating, which of course it does. White Rim is beautiful, with 26 member reviews. So we do, again, allow our members to record their experience for others to see. And we'll look at that in a sec. You can also see the last time that an update was made to a trail guide as well. We try to be really good with keeping our content as up to date as possible. But you can see that this one, the last time it was updated was just in November. With our trail information, we've got our difficulty, which you can see for White Rim. We give each trail 2 numbers. We've got our mandatory rating and we've got our optional rating. And part of that is because obstacles on the trail, many people know that sometimes they have legal bypasses, and an obstacle doesn't always have to be something that you have to do. And so our mandatory rating for this says, you need to at least be able to handle a 3. If there was an obstacle on the trail that, let's say, was a 6, but had a legal bypass, then the optional rating would be a 6. So it'd be a 3-6.
Okay.
Yeah. You can see the status. Currently it's open. Some other things you may see is seasonal closures, permanent closures, temporary closure. Impassable is another one, especially that we use a lot in the high country, like in Colorado, where a trail may be open according to the MVUM or the Forest Service. It may be open for the season, but perhaps the snowpack hasn't melted all the way up to, the top of the trail. And so it's currently impassable. So we do have different statuses for that. And you'll see the distance, the general one-way duration, and if a permit is required. That's a big one, right? Especially some of the longer trails in Utah, you need to pull a permit in order to go run that trail, and especially if you're going to be staying overnight on it. So if a permit is required, we try our best to link to the management agency that you need to go to in order to acquire that permit.
Right on. What about Utah? Aren't they now requiring all of the flags? Do you guys have anything that denotes that?
If you are in an usually if you're in an OHV park, then you're going to be required to run a flag, which we do. We would include that down here in our highlights section, where we have these what we call category icons, like altitude, desert, iconic. We do actually have one that's called OHV park, and for the icon it has a little flag, so that you're able to know that is something to be aware of.
Perfect. And we've got a question that came in from YouTube.
Sure.
And Chris says, do the trail guides have things like path width? So like how wide the trail is?
Oh, so that's a great question. So we do not list a specific measurement for that. One thing that's really important to know is that for trails off-road, we focus on trails that are appropriate for highway legal 4x4 vehicles. So we do not focus on trails for side-by-side or ATV. Any of those like 50-inch width trails, we focus on ones that are listed, if it's a national forest, on the motorized vehicle usage map. But specifically, we create content for highway legal 4x4. That being said, we do list, I'll come down a little lower. We have under this advanced rating, that check mark list that says concerns. So one thing there, you'll already notice for white rim specifically, we're saying some things that you need to be aware of is that there are narrow shelf roads. There are areas where you might be mildly off camber. It can be impassable when wet, all of these things. And one of our points on our concern list is no full size. So if a if a trail is
Perfect.
really better suited for a Jeep versus taking out your power wagon on it,
Right.
that's going to be something where we say no full size. So that's more how we communicate that information.
Okay. Yeah, we've got a guy with a power wagon who just doesn't listen to those ratings and he just pushes on. His name's Anthony. He's got a really cool
Hey,
power wagon.
this is a suggestion, right? Like this is just what we think is best. You are
Right.
more
Keep
than
it safe.
welcome to pinstripe that power wagon to high heaven if you want.
Absolutely.
um yeah, so we'll just keep kind of moving down. Just some other things. Just this is, and again, this is a full-fledged trail guide. That advanced rating system, we give a vehicle recommendation. I get asked that a lot. They say, do you say what kind of vehicle I can take? And although we're not going to tell you that it is appropriate for a Tacoma, a 4Runner, a JLU, and a power wagon, the way that we do communicate that is like white rim recommended vehicle is going to be a stock SUV with high clearance and 4 low, versus another, on other guides, we may say that it should be a lightly modified vehicle with a small lift or something like that. It's general terms, but enough for you to know really whether your vehicle should be modified or not in order to handle a trail, in our opinion.
Well, and another nice thing that you guys do is with the trail videos, a lot of times you can see they're not going by themselves. So you can see kind of the crew that's going out there. The trail videos are super awesome for the new Overlander. That's probably the #1 feature that I see when people are nervous. They don't know really, do they want to tackle this thing? Just to watch that video of the entire trail. And then they can kind of gauge for themselves. Do they think their rig can handle it? Do their friends' rig handle it? We had a question from the YouTube that said, what determines the duration? Is it just distance based, or does it calculate based on difficulty, time, anything? Kind of talk about when you show a trail duration, if you want to scroll up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. The trail duration was up here in our basic trail information. So white rim, we're saying about 10 hours. And that, excuse me, that is more based on, it's not an exact calculation. I'll say that. So it's not the trail is this many miles long and we are assuming, that you're going to be going, 4 miles an hour. It's really not that scientific for us. It's more looking at our experience of when we were mapping the trail. Now we do kind of give some thought process to the fact that when we're out mapping, sometimes we're moving at a slower rate. We have to stop in order to take video and photos and that kind of thing. But really it's kind of our best judgment in terms of if you were out, and even if you were stopping every once in a while, especially in Utah, to take in the views and maybe stop for photos of your own, or maybe it's a long route and you want to stop a couple times even just to take a break, roughly what are you going to be looking at? Which you could also kind of judge on your own, right? Because we give you the distance, we'll go through the waypoints and you'll be able to see what obstacles there are. You can watch the trail video and you can also kind of make your best judgment there.
One thing that we need to add to the system, where do we stop for lunch? Because you're on a 71-mile trail, it's 10 hours. That's actually a really good, so for a lot of, we did a Sand Hollow trip and they had it planned out where lunch is going to be at this point. So, because people get kind of cranky when they don't eat, Jack and I included. So that may be something cool as you do your trail guides, like, hey, we found a really cool place. This is about halfway. This is where we stopped for lunch, and add that to your,
Yeah.
maybe kind of fun. I think as people get into this, that is definitely something, especially on a 71-mile trail. That's a long day.
Yeah. White Rim would be definitely more of a true kind of like closer to a real overland style trail.
Nice.
I will say too, I get asked somewhat frequently about our technical rating. And so I just toggled over from the advanced rating. And this is where we kind of talk a little more about how we choose that number, because I get asked that a lot. There, people say, is it based on the vehicle that the author was driving? Because if our author is blessed and has, a JLU on 40s that's all kitted out, somebody who is going out in their, stock Tacoma, let's say, is not going to have the same experience. And so our rating system is not based on the vehicle that our author is driving. Instead, it's really more based on the actual surface of the trail and what you're encountering there. I will say we list, these measurements that you can kind of see where we're talking about, rocks or tree stumps less than 18 inches tall. We are not out there on the trail with a measuring tape, taking exact measurements of every obstacle that you're going to run into. That's not what we're doing, but it's really just to kind of give you a better understanding of how we're rating these in general. So.
Well, and the beauty is you're giving the people a video. They're getting a trail video to see what you see. So, everybody can interpret a trail differently, but video or it didn't happen, as they say. And to have that, people, they should be able to just sit down, watch the video, run through it, even if you do 1.5 or two times, just to kind of zip through it.
Yeah.
There's some that they're super great, really nice, well-produced videos. So I would definitely tell everybody, if you're thinking of the trail, that's where you want to start once you're into it.
Yeah. And I'll kind of come down here a little bit. And really at the end of the day too, the whole purpose of like our rating system, one, it's to help color code the map, right? And so you can easily identify trails that you feel will fit you, but also it's to give some consistency, because what we want is for a 3 in Florida to have the same feel as a 3 in Utah and have the same feel as a 3 in Washington State. Sure. Yeah. You should be able to feel like you can tackle a trail nearly anywhere as long as you understand kind of our difficulty rating, and you should be able to have that consistent experience versus having to have the thought of like, well, this is a 3 in Colorado, but does that mean it's like a 6 in Georgia? Or, like, we don't need any of that.
Yep.
So.
That's why we got standards.
Exactly. So I will say real quick, we do have the community consensus. This just kind of helps keep us honest. We ask our members when you're leaving a trail review to let us know if you felt like our rating was actually appropriate. Did you feel like it was spot on? Did you feel like the trail was easier than we rated it? Or did you feel like it was harder than we rated it? Because if we see a trail guide that's consistently having people say it's harder, then we need to look at those trail reviews and we need to see why those people are saying that. Is it because a storm came through and there's a washout that is now an additional obstacle and we need to remap that and add in another waypoint? There's a million reasons why that can happen. So
for sure. It's very dynamic. So you were talking about, Seattle, you were talking about Colorado. Where all is Trails Off-Road useful, right? Where all can we see trails that have been mapped?
Yeah, so Trails Off-Road is nationwide. We are a Colorado company, founded in Colorado. And like I said, I'm currently living in Salt Lake. However, we have trail guides across the country. I believe right now we have almost 3,000 trail guides across 25 states specifically.
Wow.
We do have a handful of trails now coming out in some of the Canadian provinces, and with hopes to expand. Always, we're
That's awesome.
always looking to make new trail guides.
For sure. So how much does it cost?
Great question. So a membership for Trails Offroad, it's always free to sign up. You can always go to trailsoffroad.com, sign up for free, and kind of get a taste of some of our trail guides. What we're seeing when I'm, showing the app is you're seeing that view as an all access member, which is a paid membership. And for an all access membership, it's $39.99 a year. So that's just an annual fee, and that gets you everything. That gets you the website, that gets you the apps. There's no paywalls. There's no only paying for certain states or certain regions or anything like that.
Okay, cool. And we talked earlier before the show, and you were able to come together for our group, right? And we're going to do a discount.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep. Yeah. We'll be putting together a discount code that you guys can share with everybody. It's likely going to be Overland 20. Don't hold me to that just at this moment. But we will be very happy to offer 20% off of a Trails Offroad membership for your first year. So we'll make sure and get that code to you guys to share with everyone.
So
That's super awesome.
When's CarPlay coming? Because I'm ready for CarPlay. I have my iPad mounted. I'm ready to plug it in.
You and so many other people. Yeah, we get asked about CarPlay and Android Auto very frequently. And so I'm super happy to say that is in our 2023 roadmap. Our kind of guy who heads up tech and development, he's really pushing. He would love to have it ready within the next couple months even. I tell him if we can just have it in 2023, that'd be great. But we will absolutely be announcements on social and everything when that goes live. But this is the year for it.
That's awesome. So one of the things that I noticed when I was looking at it was you guys have a super cool feature, export to Gaia.
We do.
So what's going on with that? That's awesome.
Yeah. So Gaia, I mean, we're big fans of Gaia. When we are out creating our trail guides, Gaia is our platform of choice for creating our GPX tracks and for actually plotting waypoints along a trail, which I use that word a lot. And that is kind of our coined term is a waypoint is going to be something on a trail that you really need to know about beforehand. So that's going to be even the trailhead, that's going to be bathrooms, that's going to be campsites, water crossings, obstacles, all of those kinds of things. So Gaia is the platform that we use in order to really produce our trail guides. And then what we did is our iOS and Android apps have only been out, they've been out for less than 2 years now. However, Trails Offroad originally pushed our first version of our website all the way back in 2015. So
wow.
As a company, we've been around for a while now, but we didn't always have mobile apps. And we were using Gaia, and we knew that so many people, use and love Gaia and have a lot of their own tracks and data stored in Gaia accounts. So we partnered directly with Gaia. To my knowledge, we're the only company that has a true direct integration with their platform. And so it's not currently on the app, I don't think, but on our website for our paying members, our all access members, there is a button on each trail guide that says upload to Gaia, and you can send our GPX track and our waypoints along that track directly into your Gaia account. So if you love Gaia like we do, and you don't necessarily want to leave Gaia, or you like having your data stored there, you're more than welcome to do that. You'll still always get the most information and the photos, the video, all of that good stuff within our website and then within our app. We're not able to export all of that extra information over to Gaia, but in terms of the track and at least the waypoints along the track, that can all be sent to your Gaia account.
Nice.
Yeah, and actually I'm looking at the iPad app and it does export to Gaia right from it. So that's excellent. You know, the other feature that, and I'm a kid from the Midwest that now lives in the West, and Jack would always tell me, just go here, go there. A feature that I really love with Trails Off-Road is you have the route to the trail
Yes.
that takes you, because Gaia's great and we can, if we've drawn it, but on surface streets and regular roads, we're using Apple Maps or Google Maps or Waze or whatever those programs are. And to have that in your app where you hit the button and routes me to the beginning or the reverse.
Yeah.
Super thought out. I mean, you guys really did your homework on that we may be running a trail backwards and I don't have to worry about trying to figure that out. So
Yeah.
that really is a neat feature, because I know Jack and I both use Gaia and we both
Oh,
use
yeah.
Trails Off-Road. So it's kind of like the plan, then the execute or the operational side. So I think they really do go hand in hand, and you guys have integrated well together.
Yeah, and if we want to show it on the screen, if we want to show the app on the screen right now, at the bottom of each trail guide, we have this start your adventure on white rim, and we have this navigation options. And so that's what you're talking about there, is if you click that in the app, we have start follow mode. We do have upload to Gaia GPS, and then we have directions to trail. So what you were originally talking about was that directions to trail feature, which is going to open up either Apple Maps or Google Maps, whatever your device prioritizes. And that's going to actually get you to the trailhead, like you said. And then once you get to the trailhead, then I suggest using the follow mode. And what that essentially does is it looks at where you're located. It pulls up our map, and then it also shows the waypoints along the trail. And as you are physically driving along the trail, the waypoints move. And so what should be happening is that as you're driving, you can literally see what's coming up next. You know, maybe you're between
That's awesome.
waypoints 1 and 2. And so 2 is starting to slide into your screen, and it says, you know, dispersed campsite or water creek, seasonal creek crossing, or whatever it happens to be. So that's what follow mode is, which I think is really, really neat.
And it works really well, Jack, when we split screen it with Gaia. Because the iPad, since the iPad, smartest invention ever to do 2 apps at the same time. So I usually do Trails Off-Road if it's a new trail, Trails Off-Road. And then a lot of times I'm recording my own tracks on Gaia just because I like data too. So it's super cool to have both of those apps running at the same time. And you're right, it's kind of like a Google Maps for overlanding. Super cool. And it's a well-made platform for sure.
Yeah. And while we're sharing the app screen, I will say, like what you were talking about earlier with the trail video, that's just right now we're on the waypoints, which each of our waypoints has 3 photos. So again, really understanding what you're going to see before you even get out there, that really kind of goes hand in hand with that. But we have the trail video tab, which every trail guide has a trail video, and that's really going to be just a couple minute long video with usually, you know, some GoPro or some dash footage, or sometimes, depending on the author, sometimes they really do something kind of cinematic, but that's really just a video of us running the trail kind of from start to finish. So another way for you to kind of see what's going on. And we document camping, which I think I mentioned a couple of times. Or a waypoint can always be a campsite, which I want to say, there we go. There's an example. So if there is a campsite, that will automatically need to be marked as a waypoint, and you can look for those green tent icons. So that way, you know, and it will document dispersed campsites. If the trail goes past a managed campground, we'll document that as well, or staked designated sites. It really just depends on the management agency and what's available along that trail. And then for more information, we have the camping tab, which is going to let you know. So on White Rim, camping is at designated spots only. Other options you'll see here are improved for an actual, usually that's a maintained campground. Designated is going to be a staked site. They'll usually have a post that tells you this is a campsite. Or dispersed, which is, you know, a well-established site that has a fire ring and clearly is used for camping, but likely isn't staked or numbered. And we'll just have some information regarding camping along that trail.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we want to catch up with some of the questions we've had in the chat. So one of the questions is, does this work with the Apple Watch, the new Apple Watch that everybody loves? We know Guy is working with it. Does Trails Off-Road do anything? Does it push anything to the Apple Watch? Any Apple Watch integrations?
Not currently. So for a while, I mean, and I say a while, I mean, for years, Trails Off-Road was really a labor of love between our founder, Todd Taylor, and a couple business partners. And so really it was a labor of love. And it was just a couple people really pushing to create this amazing platform for years. And really it was just recently that we were able to start building a truly full-time team, and everybody on our team, all of our full-timers, and then obviously all of our authors, our contributors, we all get out there and do these things. So we like to say with our full-time team that at least 40% of our year is spent on the road. So
awesome.
Yeah, but obviously that means that sometimes we're a little slower to get up to speed with some of the newer tech and the kind of development releases that need to happen. So that is on our radar. Currently, we don't support Apple Watch.
No worries. I know Keenan, he captured our tracks the last time we were down in St. George and in St. Hollow. And it was funny because he was doing it from his watch. I don't think I don't know if you know that you were doing it from the watch or whatnot, but yeah, you can see everywhere that he walked because the details of that were just so fine. So it's hilarious because you see all the squigglies all over the map where we stopped. We stopped at Tokerville Falls.
Yeah.
And you could see it all around that. That was
literally everywhere I walked, my Gaia GPS was tracking me. It was pretty epic.
It so just looks like a bowl of spaghetti at that point.
It literally is like, oh, there's obviously something really cool there because that guy spent a lot of time walking around. Yep. So that was really cool. How do we help you add trails? Because I mean, you have this awesome platform. We all pay for it already. So if I wanted to go out there and I wanted to help you really scout some trails or check this out, how do we do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so our big thing is quality over quantity, right? So we don't crowdsource and we don't buy data. It's all done proprietary. It's all done in-house. And right now, I think we have, I want to say about 70 contributors all across the United States who write for us. And we're always looking for more people. So if you are interested in doing that, the best thing to do is to go to trailsoffroad.com, scroll all the way down to the footer of our website, and there's a link that should say write for us. That link is going to take you to a page with a form, and you can submit your contact information. And at that point, our editor, Wade, he handles a lot of our training and all of that good stuff. At that point, he would contact you and kind of get a good time set up to kind of walk through what that would even look like. And yeah, we're always looking for people who want to help, because really we're only limited by the boundaries of public land and by the number of contributors that we can find that really want to grow this platform. So the more the merrier.
That's awesome. Well, I know we're going to have some folks who are interested in that. We're really fortunate. We've got people from Europe, and we've got people from Africa and the US and Australia in our Discord channel. So maybe we can start to try to help spread that out for you guys. We'll put the word out, and then we can start covering some other continents.
Yeah, that would be amazing, honestly.
We've got another question from YouTube. One of the questions, and I already know the answer, but the question is, does this offline cache in the app? So can you pre-download a trail?
Yes, that was something that I did not even mention. So if we want to share the app screen again, let's see. So I'll exit out and go back to our main map. So hopefully we can see down at the kind of bottom of the screen. So we've got home, map, favorites, and offline, which is huge because obviously a lot of the places that we go, there's usually no cell service. So if I come to this offline tab, we can see that I even have a couple updates available. But what we do is, rather than restricting offline downloads to a plotted area or to individual trails, we have you download an entire state at a time. We've just found that that's kind of the best experience. And to be honest, especially when I was living in Colorado, you know, I would go out and I may run 1 or 2 trails, and maybe I ran them faster than I thought I was going to, or maybe I'm just feeling extra adventurous that day and I want to know what else is around me. But if I had only downloaded individual trails, or if I had only done, you know, a 10 mile by 10 mile plot for a download on my map, and now I have no service, I have no way of knowing what's even around me. So what we have you do is download an entire state at a time for offline use. So usually what I suggest is, you know, try to remember when you're at home and you have good Wi-Fi, go ahead and go in here, you know, click whatever state you're looking for and go ahead and download it then, and then it will stay downloaded to your app, and everything should still render on the map when you're out there and don't have service.
I love that you guys have done that by state. I mean, that's so key, because like Google Maps only wants you to do like this certain amount and it limits you, and it's so dumb because who stays within the box,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We are people who go outside the box. So why would we do that? So that's so cool that you guys make it the whole state. That's super easy.
Well, and the neat thing is it kind of shows the popularity of the states. As you can see, you know, okay, so Utah has 329 trail guides, but there's 242 scout routes that Trails Off-Road could really use some help with getting those mapped out. So if you're in some of these states and you have the equipment for it, that's definitely reach out to the right for us, because this is just going to make everybody's experience better, and you're going to go out anyway. So we might as well try to help them get more data, get a good video. It really is pretty minimal equipment to go out and do a little mapping on a Saturday. So
yeah, especially with the scout routes, because that's we always start people off doing the scout routes first versus the full-fledged trail guides, because a scout route really only requires you to to plot the GPX track, and then we usually say minimum of 3 photos, because what we're looking for is a photo of camping, if there even is any camping, a photo of the hardest part of that trail, and then what we call a hero photo, which is essentially just kind of, you know, the title photo for that trail, or kind of the prettiest photo you could even say for that trail. So three photos, sometimes only 2, a GPX track, and then we have, you know, a few basic questions and a paragraph that we ask for, and that's it. For scout routes, we don't even require full video or actual waypoints or anything like that, because the whole point of the scout routes is we ran this trail, here's an idea of it, and here's an idea of the difficulty of it, and then it's up to our members to let us know if they would like to see that as a full-fledged trail guide.
Super cool.
So how often, so let's say you run a trail, you have one in Moab, you've done White Rim 2 years ago or a year ago or whenever that, how often is a staff member or a trail guide from Trails Off-Road going back out on that trail to do an updated look? You know, we always see river washes, things like that. Is that dictated based on how people are rating the trail? If you see that they're saying that you're not spot on and that it is more difficult or it's easier, is that how do you justify, and then how often do you update those trails?
Yeah, really, the way that we look at that is kind of, there's multiple ways to look at it. So what we do ask of our authors is that they either update, or that they're at least keeping an eye on their trail guides, at least seasonally, right? Because so many places have seasonal closures. And so there are routes that are only open from April 1st through, you know, December 15th. There's things like that. And we have that status. And so we expect our authors to be going in and making sure that, if nothing else, that at least seasonally, the status is appropriate. So that's kind of like bare minimum. Then we heavily depend on our members to kind of act as a community and act as our overwatch to make sure that we're keeping everything up to date. So when a trail review is left by a member, that actually sends a notification to the author, and the author can then see what that trail review was. And that's of course our hope, is that our authors want to be involved. And so they would go in and they would say, oh, John left this review on White Rim, and they can go in and read it. And it may just be somebody being like, I ran this last weekend, it was beautiful, I had a great time, here's some photos, like definitely gonna check this off the bucket list. It may just be that. It may also be somebody leaving a review who says, hey, that big storm that came through, especially we see this in like Arizona, where they have an actual monsoon season, and people will leave a trail review and say, hey, that storm that came through last week, there's a washout just after waypoint 6. Here's a photo. And then in our trail reviews, members can leave their own updated status. And so they may say that the status is now, impassable, or maybe somebody went out and ran a trail and, the Forest Service is going to do maintenance and they've put in a gate and it's a temporary closure because it's just closed for 2 months while the Forest Service is doing maintenance, things like that. We heavily rely on our community to communicate those things to us. That way we can then go in and make the proper updates to the trail guides. So bare minimum seasonal updates is what we're looking for, but hopefully updating more frequently depending on trail reviews and the feedback we're getting from the community.
Awesome. So where are you guys found? What's the website? What's the Instagram? Where's all the places we can find you?
We try to keep it simple. So yeah, it's just trailsoffroad.com is the website. In the app stores, you should just be able to search Trails Off-Road. There's no special name there. With our app, you should be able to see that it's kind of it's a compass, a little white compass with a little orange pin on it. And then same thing, we're on Facebook and Instagram, and you should just be able to search Trails Off-Road on both of those as well and catch up with us, which we try to be quite active on Facebook and Instagram. So you can always reach out to us there.
Okay. And we've got a last question from our audience on YouTube. It's kind of a fun one. Is the app compatible with the macOS platform? So I'm not sure how techie you are, but it's like sometimes iOS apps can run on newer Macs. And so that's what this question is. Can the app run on the Mac Mini? Because this user wants to mount a Mac Mini in their truck for their road. So that's Chris Fenwick, one of our audience members.
That's a really interesting idea that certainly hasn't occurred to me. But I know exactly what you're talking about. As far as I know, our app is only iOS compatible. It's not a Mac OS native app. But that's a question that I'll have to pose to our iOS developer, actually, maybe in the morning, and ask him.
Well, I can answer the question right now. It's not currently set up. Okay. I did just check. It's not currently set up. I want to say it's as simple as a checkbox, but some developer out there is gonna kick me in the shins for saying that, because maybe it's a little more than a checkbox. Like maybe you want to make it more accessible and make it have a touch interface, and that's, there's some challenges there. But it is very simple these days to make those available on Mac OS. If you guys were interested in that, we have at least 2 users who would be interested in that.
Yeah.
That's,
I'll take that too. Cause realistically, a lot of the iPad apps do work really well on our MacBooks. So that's something, if you want to push that up, that would be totally cool. Cause I think that is a great idea. Yeah. And it is really just a switch and maybe a little programming for him. He'll have to stay in the office from a trail though. So you're going to have to break the bad news to him while he's working on CarPlay and the Apple Watch Ultra integration.
I know. Well, and he's big on the CarPlay. I mean, like I said, we've been hounded about that for so long now. And he told me a couple of weeks ago, because we were talking about, is it going to be a 2023 thing, which it absolutely is. But he was like, I'm going to go rogue and I'm going to push it. If somebody says it's not a 2023 thing, he's like, it's going to happen. So
that's awesome.
We're super excited about that. Also, though, something to mention is that down in the footer of our website, like I said, there's that Write For Us link. We also have a feedback link. So if anybody has ideas, if you've
Feature
encountered,
requests.
feature
Yeah.
requests, general feedback. I mean, like I said, we're really community centric and we're always looking for new ideas and things to improve on. So there is a link down in the footer of the website for you to send feedback, and that doesn't go to some bottomless pit. that does go directly to our full-time team.
Awesome. What do you guys have any big plans for 2023? Like getting out places? Are you going to any shows? Where will
So
we see you next?
yeah, that's a good point. So we are cutting back this year on our participation in terms of big events. Last year, we did have a booth at every single one of the Overland expos, which was a lot, but
Yeah.
it's really good because it gave us, the chance to interface with people, but also when we participate in those things, like I said, we're a small core team. And so that really knocks out a lot of our time that we could instead be spending mapping and creating content. Because, I didn't mention we are on YouTube as well. We have a YouTube channel that we really have been pushing hard to do more kind of like feature length, long form content of some of our trail guides. And so this year, we're really focusing on dialing back on the event participation so that we can go out and focus more on the mapping and the content this summer.
Okay.
That being said, we should still be at Easter Jeep Safari, to my knowledge. We actually, not this weekend, at the end of next week, our founder will be giving a talk at the Salt Lake Offroad Expo. So we'll be wandering around. If you happen to be around Salt Lake, we'll be there. We'll be at Easter Jeep. We will be at Overland Expo West in Flagstaff. We'll for sure have a booth there for that. And then we will also be at the Teton Overland Show in Idaho Falls, which this is their second year. We also participated in that last year, and we're really excited to see some major growth. I think that whole Idaho area and kind of heading up north is kind of an untapped area, and I'm really excited to participate in that one again.
What about Trail Hero? You have trail in your name. Come on.
I know it, right?
We're gonna, and the Overland channel will be at, obviously, Overland Expo. We'll be at Trail Hero. So that should be a couple of really fun times.
Yeah, I truly wish I could go to all of them everywhere. That would be a lot of fun. But yeah, this year at least we're focusing hardcore on just getting more trail guides put together, new content.
Well, hey, that's the right kind of thing that we like to see, because obviously that means more content and that's better for the users. So we'll take it. We'll take it. Just keep posting stuff and letting us know what's going on and give us updates on your socials.
For sure.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for coming by and hanging out with us today. We loved seeing all the details that you guys have on Trails Off-Road. Super cool. You've converted me. I'm going to get into it and I'm going to start doing my scouting that way, because really that's awesome to have that video footage. Like Keenan and I have gone in blind so many times to places and it's not a great idea. And if you've got a resource, use it. I mean, it's easy. It's not expensive. It's an annual plan. That's easy. Just do it. So
yeah,
cool.
I really think, Jack, we're going to just have to start doing trail guides for them, because there's so many places that we've went that we know other people have been there before. So I'm not trying to say that we're not Lewis and Clark here, but there's just no data. Gaia doesn't have a route, or we're trying to get to a trail that we were at 2 years ago. And in order to get there, you have to turn by the barn that burned down and this farm and this stuff. And we don't know all that information. So by actually having the trail on there, it really makes the experience is so much better. And the fact that we get to share it out with just a GoPro footage or, and some waypoints, it's super low barrier to entry. So I really implore anybody that's out there doing this, that you could really help the community and we could all have a better time. So thanks for coming. This has been awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for having us, guys.
All right. Thanks so much. Guys, stay tuned. We are doing this Overlanding 101 navigation. We've met with Trails Off-Road today. They gave us some really cool stuff to get into. You need to check it out. We're going to keep doing our Overlanding 101 series and just kind of talking about all the things that you need to do when you're getting started. So stay tuned for that. Go ahead and check out the Overland Discord channel if you want to become part of the community. You can hang out with us there, ask questions. We had a ton of questions submitted today for this, and that was, you know, what drives the content, because we want to be serving you guys. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.